Conservatives across the country, in Washington, D.C., all over conservative media, and of course the Twitter sphere, are up in arms over the fact that a leaker exists somewhere in the halls of the United States Supreme Court. You have had Mitch McConnell come out and attack this individual. John Roberts, Chief Justice of the court, has now come out and called for a full-scale investigation, says he's asked the marshals, go look into this, get the FBI to look at this. Ted Cruz has said that, I hope there's a serious one, and I hope whoever is responsible not only is fired instantly, but is prosecuted and serves real jail time for violating the confidences of the Supreme Court. And of course, plenty of other conservatives across social media have said that this leak is somehow both an insurrection and worse than what happened on January 6th. Marjorie Taylor Greene has said that. Conservative Daily Wire host Michael Knowles has said that. Knowles also hosts a podcast with Ted Cruz. Plenty of other conservatives out there in the overcrowded conservative media market have made the same claim that somehow this leak is worse than the insurrection. And it's always that same talking point. This was worse than what happened on January 6th. That's the narrative that these individuals have all somehow independently started coming up with. And if you think about it for a moment, there is nothing independent about what these individuals are saying. This is a coordinated effort to not only try to make this, Roe versus Wade being overturned about the leaker instead of the implications of the overturning. They're trying to downplay what happened on January 6th for good reason for them. In recent weeks, we have found out a lot of new information regarding Donald Trump's attempted coup. We now know that many lawmakers, sitting lawmakers, were involved. They were texting with Mark Meadows. They were coming up with plans of their own on how to, implement this steal that they were working on. They attended meetings. They made phone calls. Like I said, we've got the text messages. They were fully involved with Trump's attempts to overturn the results of the 2020 election. So Republicans believe they've been handed a gift, the gift of distraction. And that is exactly what they are doing with this news story about the Supreme Court leaker. That's why, by the way, they're comparing it to January 6th. It's an unnecessary comparison, and by the way, it's not even a close comparison. What happened on January 6th and all the events around it, obviously, far, 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 far worse than somebody leaking this draft of the Supreme Court majority opinion. But they're making the comparison to downplay what happened surrounding those events because the news coming out has been so damning for the entire Republican Party over the last couple weeks. So we're going to see more of that. This is the narrative that has taken hold with these conservatives. And of course, we don't even know who the leaker is. We don't know if they're on the left, the right, the center, what. We don't know if it's who it could be, who they're working for. Maybe it was a justice. Nobody knows at this point. An investigation will be done. Eventually, obviously, they're going to catch this person. And then all will come out. And I am curious to know because, odds are actually greater that it was a conservative just due to sheer numbers, right? Not saying that conservatives would be more likely to leak it. I'm saying of all the people in that Supreme Court, most of them are conservative. So statistically, it would be more likely that it would be a conservative than a liberal. So I do wonder if it turns out to be a conservative, are Republicans still going to be out there calling for this person to serve serious jail time? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
This is Hattie. Hattie wants to know why you have not subscribed to our channel. You obviously like our videos, so do us a favor and subscribe.